Action.
Yes, action. Now the golden rules. What are the golden rules? What should I do? First of all, it's before the test. Of course, if I want to improve my speaking, what should I do? Speak. Duh. Speak. You want to improve your speaking? Walk. No, speak, right? But everything helps you improve your speaking. Of course, all those things that we know. We have to listen, we have to watch movies, we have to talk to people, we have to write down phrases, useful phrases. We have to work on our everything, the language skills. But after we do all the things that everyone knows, after we do all that stuff, especially a couple of days before the test, I should bring my mind into the English gear. And how would I do that? Guys, when you, with your present English, if you spend a couple of days speaking English, switching back to your own native language could be a little tough. Because your mind is geared into the English gear, right? It's geared there, it's there. So, before the test, it's good to actually just speak English. Think in English. So, a few days before the test, speak English, watch English, think in English, talk in English, walk in English. How do English people walk? I don't know. You sit in a car, the driver's like that. You know, we have the steering wheel in England is on a different side. So you're sitting beside the driver and you're driving too because you're English. I don't know. Do whatever you can do. Just bring yourself into that state of mind. Speak as much English as you can. And on the day of the test, even right after your the writing section, the written section of the test, which is the written section is different from the writing section. The written section, I mean the listening and the writing and reading parts. The space you have, the time you have in between that test and your speaking, of course, use that time to speak and relax and review the topics in your head, in your mind. So, on the day, what to expect? So, you enter the room, the gentleman or the lady is sitting there. Sorry, lady or gentleman. You're sitting there. And sometimes they get up, sometimes they're sitting, calm with a smile. So how you enter is important. So the way you enter, the first thing you should see is not your nose when you open the door, or your toes. The first thing is a smile. Right? So you need to smile, you need to relax, you need to be calm and quiet. Quiet?
No.
Calm and confident. Not quiet. And, of course, natural. Because if you overdo it, you walk in, that's not going to cut it, right? So when you walk in, have a natural smile, try to be natural. Yeah, that was a good one. That's a good one. Ming wouldn't have any problems with that, like naturally walking in with a broad smile. So you walk in with a smile, you're calm, and even if you're shivering inside, I know you will be nervous, and the interviewer knows that, is used to that. So when you walk in, try to somehow, well, when you laugh or smile, it kind of helps because you get that energy released, and that kind of helps you calm down a bit. Like you saw that, Ming did that just a few days ago when he wanted to start speaking for the first time in front of the class, so that smile really helped him. I didn't see him because my eye was facing down, but basically I could hear him, so I knew, well, that was the thing. It's a good technique to use it. It's a good technique to use, so that's pretty much what you do. And then when you sit down, chat with the guy, the examiner. Hey, how are you? How's your day? Like, good evening. When you walk in, the tone of your language should be semi-formal. Not formal. It's a formal occasion. But it depends. Like if you're in Canada, when you walk in, you don't say, how do you do, sir? No. So it's like, if it's in the afternoon, so you say, good afternoon. You walk in with a smile, good afternoon. And you say, and you have a smile on, you exchange a very, like a small talk, what we say. Great weather. So, and I hope it's going to be a great day. You can joke a bit with him. So like, how's your day? Depends on you. Or, how's your day? What do you expect? Or, you can joke with the guy, just, to relax a bit more. And after that, natural, natural, natural. But be calm, confident, natural, but not brief. I don't want you to be brief. Don't be, remember what Tulia did today? Remember what Tulia did today? Yes. Don't do it. Remember him. When you're taking the test, remember him. He was the best example of the worst thing you can do on that day. Just kidding. But don't be brief like that. Like one-liners and one few words. No. We'll talk about that. But we welcome you here. That was the first day and it was great. But when you go for the test, chat with the exam. Listen to the questions. Of course. Of course. I told you this before. When we take a test, even in the instructions, the written section of the test, one problem most people have is with the listening. Usually when we talk to our friends, or we talk usually with people, most of the people are not good listeners. It's usually not a dialogue, basically two monologues. Because you want to say something, and she wants to say something, or he wants to say something. The time we're listening, we're not actually listening. We're waiting for our turns. When is my turn to speak? Now in the test, you should be very careful, because he should not be repeating and repeating and repeating, right? He asks you a question. So tell me about your family. It's a good one. When it gets a little harder, and a little more analytical, which needs more analysis on your part, you need to be good listeners. So listen carefully, but what would you do if you don't understand the question? Should you just pretend like, oh, you got it, and go on? Yeah? So what do you do?
Is it better for repeat or rephrase the question?
Yes. Great. If you didn't hear the question or part of the question, so could you please repeat the question? But if you heard the question, there was a word you didn't know, and you know, if you say, could you please repeat the question?
No.
The person would repeat exactly the same question because they have their questions written. Oh yeah, so, and if you ask him 10 times, he will repeat the same.
Yes.
They say this is the definition for insanity. You know insanity, being crazy? They say repeating the same action, expecting a different result. You do the same thing. For example, 10 times if I go like with the high speed into that wall, 10 times I go into the same wall, right?
Yeah.
Nothing will change. If I repeat the same action, the result would be the same. So they say one definition for insanity is repeating the same action, expecting a different result. You can't expect a different result because the person has a question here. So could you please repeat? Oh yes, of course. Repeats the question, you still don't get it because you don't know a word that you should know to get the question. So if you don't know that word, the golden word is rephrase, right? Could you please rephrase? I would open the box here for myself. Rephrase. Could you please rephrase your question? We hear the word rephrase in IELTS a lot. Rephrase, rephrase, rephrase. And ask for, okay, repetition or rephrasing. Don't beat around the bush. What does that mean? What is that supposed to mean? Don't beat around the bush. Don't beat around the bush. It means do not digress. If I ask you about your, have you ever had a bike? Have you ever, tell me about the last book you read this year. Did you, like a book you read last year? So, my point is, if for example, I ask you, have you ever had a bike? If somebody hasn't had a bike, but had a motorcycle, can you say, look, I haven't had a bike, but I had a motorcycle and I liked it very much. Actually, riding motorcycles, oh, it's really good because you do vroom and then you rev up the engine. Oh my God, you got to hear that sound. You just go on. Is that the right strategy? The guy asked you about a bike. So this happens, like, if somebody asks you, like, do you take pictures? And then say, no, I don't take pictures, but I paint. And then you start talking about painting. Oh, by the way, my favorite style of painting is, I'm a realist. Do you want me to paint your picture right now? Sitting right here. So, Don't do this. This is beating around the bush. When somebody asks you a question, direct question, answer the question directly. Sometimes you just go around and around. Beating around the bush means we don't stick to the point. We start just digressing, going around. Don't do that.